and welcome back to the podcast that must not be named. I am Luke.
I am Melissa.
And we are here doing Chapter 4 of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Back to the Burrow. This chapter is 12 pages, and that is 1.63% of this book. Benj, take it away.
Chapter 4. Harry finishes packing his belongings and eagerly awaits the Weasleys' arrival. Uncle Vernon is worried about the neighbors noticing anything strange happening and starts asking how the Weasleys will be dressed. Will it be those odd wizard robes or normal people's clothes? Uncle Vernon also ponders how they'll arrive. The hour comes and passes. Finally, the Weasleys arrive by the Floo network, which was specifically connected to the Dursleys' fireplace. However, the Dursleys' hearth had been blocked up and Mr. Weasley has to blast his way through. After this rocky start, Mr. Weasley has no luck in engaging the Dursleys in a conversation while Fred and George fetch Harry's trunk. Fred drops a bag of toffees, collecting all but one, before he, George, Ron, and depart for the burrow. Harry and Mr. Weasley are still there when Cousin Dudley finds and eats toffee. His tongue promptly expands to several feet in length. Uncle Vernon starts attacking Mr. Weasley, who he blames for this outrage. While Aunt Petunia tries to pull the supposed foreign object from Dudley's mouth, Harry exits for the burrow as Uncle Vernon starts throwing china figurines at Mr. Weasley.
All right, new characters.
None.
New locations.
None, unless we're counting the Dursleys' fireplace.
No, we've been there before because
That's
we
true.
had letters
The
fly down.
letters. We haven't actually been inside it. I'm not going to count it. No,
Okay,
no new locations.
New magicabulary.
We do have a couple of these, two of which are somewhat related. We have the Floo network and the Floo regulation panel, and a third one, which in this usage is also kind of related, Incendio, a flame creation charm, I would guess. So, pretty cool stuff.
This is true. All right, we have an illustration.
What's it look
I
like?
remembered.
I haven't looked at it.
I have my book here, and I'm going to open it because I almost forgot, but I didn't.
Back to the burrow.
It is legs sticking out of a boarded up fireplace.
Yeah, I assume those are Arthur Weasley's legs.
One would assume.
What's that on top of the mantle there? A flower pot?
A flower pot with a very pathetic looking tulip.
Petunia?
Oh, no, I think it's a tulip. I don't really know. I don't think the Dursleys would have wood boarding up there.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. I mean, it makes sense to have, because we already know that as they're coming through, it's already blasted the electric fireplace away. So I think it's just a kind of way to show destruction with the broken boards, but it's not really accurate.
I was going to say, it's not an accurate representation. It's more the feeling and mood of the chapter. But really, nothing else happened. So
let's talk about nothing else then.
And now for nothing.
All right. What do you got about nothing?
I want to talk about Vernon.
Yeah.
I love talking about the Dursleys.
One of the some things we can talk about.
Okay. So Uncle Vernon judges other men on the size and make of their car, which completely in character. Totally buy it. I absolutely agree.
Absolutely.
However, if I were a wizard, I would buy like the junkiest car I could that still ran, and then I just like transfigure it into some amazing cool car.
Just buy a boot and turn it into a car. We've seen Transfiguration do some pretty incredible things. A desk into a pig.
This is true.
I mean, I'm sure there's some limitations on what you can do with it. Get a large boot or something. I don't know, something about car-sized. Build a cardboard car.
I feel like depending on your level of transfiguration abilities, trying to transfigure something into having a working motor, that's the part that I think I would just need a car that had a working motor. The rest of it I could fix.
Can't you just magic it to move at that point?
I have absolutely no knowledge of how cars actually work, so no, I probably could not.
Yeah, like I wonder if you do need to have like a little bit of the mechanical knowledge. I don't know. Like it seems like you could go, locomotor car
and just like magic it to move like a car does without actually having.
You know how to put it into neutral.
I mean, think about it, though. You could do that. Your carbon footprint would be so much smaller because you wouldn't actually use gas.
I wonder what the emissions of magic output is. Fairy dust? Unicorn sweat? I don't know. That's a good question, though.
Okay, I have one more comment, and then we can take off in your notes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
cowering Dudley is the best kind of Dudley.
It's pretty well described in this chapter as he's walking around with his hands on his bottom the whole time, won't like turn his backside to the middle of any room.
Or how he like hides behind Vernon and he can't.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
he's too big. Or at one point, like, Petunia's laying on top of him.
Right.
Like, cowering Dudley is the best kind of Dudley. I like how this big burly bully guy is just a giant pansy.
Yep. Absolutely is. Pretty well described.
Yes.
So to kind of touch on something that is very similar to your first note there with the car and make of car and everything, Vernon wearing his best suit to kind of show dominance and intimidation, also very, very much in character. Like, and I like that Harry is perceptive enough to realize that's what he's doing. You know, like, I think we're not surprised that Harry knows Vernon pretty well at this point. Well, it's just nice to see.
And don't you think that's something that Vernon has instilled in the boys? Because he probably sat at the dinner table for years going on and on about, I showed him because I had a better suit. I'm sure it was explicitly taught to those boys. To Dudley, this is how you do it. And to Harry, you'll never get to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very, very well said. I like that. And we know that Harry seems to retain more information, that he's learned a lot more from Vernon than Dudley seems to have, because Dudley's been so coddled, he hasn't actually had to work through anything. This diet is the first challenge he's come across, and he is struggling, right?
Okay, I agree he's struggling. I don't necessarily think he hasn't learned anything from Vernon. I think he takes the things Vernon says and I wouldn't even say twists it because Vernon needs it.
Says, yeah.
Right. He takes it as, I'm going to exert my dominance. And that's why he's a bully. And that's why he's tormenting the other kids at school, because that's what his father taught him. What he doesn't do is like go on to the evaluation level of Bloom's taxonomy and decide whether or not this is right. And if that's like an appropriate thing to do, or how do I apply this to this situation in a way that's beneficial without being a jerk. Harry's done that and Dudley has not. And that's the difference. Like they both learned it, but Harry's then be able to take it to that higher level of evaluation of, okay, is this a good thing? Do I want to learn from it so I can do it? Or do I want to learn from it so I don't?
Right. Dudley has learned to mirror or copy Vernon, where Harry has learned from it.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's, I like that. I like that a lot. So how bizarre would it be for someone if someone showed up in your fireplace, right?
Doesn't that happen every Christmas?
Exactly.
But I mean,
grew up learning that's a thing.
On non-Christmas days, I would say it would be surprising, and I'd probably hit the person over the head with a bat.
Likely. Makes sense.
Now, if somebody had said, hey, I'm coming over.
And they showed up
in my fireplace.
You were anticipating their arrival.
At least, exactly. Like I knew you were.
Is surprising.
Yes.
Still.
I think, and plus being the Harry Potter fan that I am, I'd probably be a little more
accepting.
Wizard.
Oh,
gotcha.
Powder. Got it. Cool. Nice. Right. I knew this was a thing.
Right. Can you I got a jar. You need some? Like, I got you. But if I had never heard of the world, yeah, that would be a little off-putting.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you were completely adverse to anything out of the ordinary.
Right.
Mr. Weasley would probably have really loved to kind of spend some time in the Dursleys' house under like kind of better circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Just to like check out the Muggle stuffs, right?
Yeah. I mean, he would be all over that.
Yeah.
I'm going to look at the electricity. I'm going to look at the plugs, indoor plumbing.
Right? Rubber ducks.
What is the function? No, wait. I don't quote the movies.
Yeah.
Sorry. My bad.
Yeah, but like, and it makes me like kind of wonder, why isn't he in contact with the Grangers more? I mean,
right?
Potentially he is, but we don't hear about it other than book 2, you know, the little bit that they kind of hung out, but it seems like they got along all right. Like, I don't know, hang out.
I know. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
They should. You know, Hermione be up for it because she just would love that.
Yeah. Wizard Muggle relations. She's all for it. My last note here comes from the line, Fred and George came back into the room carrying Harry's school trunk. They glanced around as they entered and spotted Dudley. Their faces cracked into identical evil grins. What do you think of their evil grins? Like, sounds pretty malicious.
So some people have evil grins and you're like, oh God, who'd you kill? And some people had evil grins and you say, cool, what are we doing? I take that. It's the twins. It's a cool, what are we doing kind of grin. I'm in. I don't even need to know what it is. I'm in. Not me as like almost 40-year-old me, but me as like teenager me before I was, old and responsible. But yeah, no, definitely it's, something's going on. It's going to be good. Just sit back and watch it play out.
I don't know. Just for some reason, this read through, the evil seemed just a little over the top. Like, it was just like, this is a very watered down version of evil, Like, it's really mild evil. This is novice level evil. Amateur evil.
Because they don't do it for money. They're not in the pros. They're trying to evil in the Olympics. They're maintaining their amateur status.
Eviling.
So apparently what I'm hearing from you is you have a bit of an objection to the use of the adjective evil. You would rather it be something mischievous or...
Mischievous, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. Or even slightly malicious. I don't know, just evil seems a little over the top. It just kind of changes the complexion of their character a bit. We know that they're mischievous. We know that they're jokesters and pranksters, but evil usually has a connotation of cruelty that I don't really feel like they have. You know what I mean?
Yes, I will allow you that trivial
like I said, it just, for some reason this time because I've been so focused on the twins on this read through that it just didn't set right with me. For both of them. Fred, maybe. George, no way.
Definitely not George.
I think that's my real problem, is George being lumped into this evilness.
George should not have
an evil bone in his body.
You think? Not any.
Not one.
I mean, I don't know.
He's got very many mischievous bones.
I would say maybe Fred had an evil grin and George had a mischievous smirk.
Fair. I will allow that as a good conceit. So there was my semantic point for the day.
I feel like we need a sound effect.
Luke's semantic point of the day.
Ha ha ha.
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah, me? Yes.
That's you still.
Okay, true.
Do you have any questions for me?
I do, and they're only, sparking today.
Sparking? Okay.
They're only sparking.
We'll see if we can set them on fire as we go.
Right. Here we go. Question 1. Why do you think the Weasleys were so late?
Fred and George. They were probably doing something, tinkering around with something, exploding something in their room, and just lost track of time, and they'd already said that they would go, and Mrs. Weasley's probably shouting up the stairs, "Boys, let's go! It's time to go!" That's a terrible Mrs. Weasley voice.
It's a terrible Mrs. Weasley.
I'll work on it.
Okay.
So I think they were the culprits of that.
Okay. Question 2. Would you have eaten the toffee?
I do like toffee, but I think it'd be pretty easy for me not to eat it, right away. I just, I wouldn't see it on the floor and, go pouncing after it. And, yeah, I don't think it would have gone the same way as this.
Okay, except if you hadn't eaten it right away and had waited, that would have been so much worse.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Funnier.
Definitely more dangerous.
True. I don't think I would have eaten it. I don't like toffee.
Yeah.
But, especially as a kid, any one of my kids would have done it. No questions asked. Done. Eat the candy.
Just
questions
don't
later.
Think, just eat.
Eat first. What is it? Shoot first, ask questions later? Eat it first. Figure it out later.
Han ate first.
Yeah, exactly. He would have eaten the candy.
Han Solo would definitely have eaten the toffee. Han ate first.
That's right. Question 3. I'm not sure if this is worded right, so bear with me. Would the wizard or the wizards who monitor for the statue of underage wizardry be made aware of a flu powder usage at Harry Potter's home and really Mr. Weasley's use of incendio to light the fire, since no of-age wizards live there?
They should be. I would think so. Definitely the incendio. I feel like you could maybe justify the flu powder as it's kind of not an active charm at the time. It's kind of applying a previously done bit of magic, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's kind of like flying a broom. I don't think if Harry flew his broom off, I don't think they would know about that necessarily.
Or do you think, I wonder if because Mr. Weasley is an of-age wizard, even though it's happening in the home where nobody is, because
they can track that there is an of-age wizard there.
But maybe it doesn't matter because he's of age and so his magic doesn't.
It just doesn't register.
Right. I don't know.
That seems weird because of the Dobby clause, right? I mean,
but Dobby is not a wizard. He's not.
He's
I
not
don't
a
know.
registered,
Right.
qualified wizard or whatever their
Yeah.
certification process is. That's a good question. I really wouldn't have thought about that. I'm glad you brought that up because from what we've seen, it seems a little inconsistent on that
Right.
so far. And I don't know. It's a good question.
I would say monitoring the statute of underage wizardry sounds like the most boring job. I mean, it's almost like security guards sitting and staring at screens, but there's no screens. Like it's probably like
I
little.
wonder what that looks like.
I
like
imagine like a big, almost
huge
like
control room, like NASA, like Houston, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Or I'm thinking like old school telephone operaters with
Okay.
all of the different plugs. Then like a light would light up
That's awesome.
and there'd be like a, Knob Hill, underage wizardry. And so they wouldn't be able to go because they have to monitor the thing.
Letter. It just,
Right.
the letter gets sent.
And they don't have to write it. It's just like form letter. Ding, type in the extra. Yeah, no. Boring job.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, and it also makes me wonder because you kind of have to think about Dobby here, right? He's
Right.
not a qualified wizard either, so maybe it just registered that there was non-qualified magic being done. Like, maybe it was kind of a double whammy on that one. I don't know, but clearly house elves have magic of their own, and it doesn't like go off if it's at a wizard's house. So it almost seems like it's more of a proximity thing. So if Harry was to go to the park, a couple miles away and do some magic, is he no longer being monitored as closely, at least, because it's harder to pick?
I don't know.
Is it specifically the proximity to him, maybe?
Or is it like
And I don't mean
all
just Harry, like
underage
Hermione
wizards? Right. Like, or is it instead of their houses, all underage wizards have this sort of thing, but the ones who live near wizards, because they're with wizards who have magic, like it just, I don't know. It's murky.
It is. And
I don't like murky.
And I think we have every right to kind of question it. It seems wishy-washy, murky is well said.
Yeah.
It's a good
All
question.
right. I'm moving on. Question 4. What does Petunia hope to accomplish by laying on top of Dudley?
Covering his butt, I guess. I mean, at this point, that's like the only thing Dudley can worry about.
But she can't. She's physically incapable of covering that mass.
She's still gonna try because she believes in futile acts.
Got it. Okay.
That
with you.
is her 101.
Got it. True.
It's a very Dursley thing.
Oh, the Dursleys.
Deep
I
breath.
do. Yes, I do really, really like in the sense that I love to laugh at them a lot.
They are
And then I
very
feel-
well written.
And then I feel very guilty that I'm always laughing at them because like they're people too, but not really their words on a page, but like there has to be a redeeming quality. And then I start laughing at myself. I'm like, oh, it's the Dursleys. There's nothing redeeming there. The best part is we leave.
Right. That's the goal. Get out.
All right. Question 5. This is something that has bothered me since the very first time I read this book. Ready? Can George really go back quickly, like his father asks him to, using the Flu network, if the Dursleys' fire was not lit?
That's a good question. We obviously don't find out because Fred
don't
gets
go
there
back.
so quickly.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I would think maybe he's kind of instructing him, hey, light a fire real quick. They probably all have a pinch of powder with them, I guess. And he's hoping he can go back quickly. Basically, like, do what Mr. Weasley ended up doing quickly behind them. It's gotta be crammed in there anyway. Like, what's the size of this chimney?
Right?
Not a lot of space.
If I think of mine, like,
Goes back,
I don't think there's
a
any
foot?
room for anybody to stand up in before it narrows.
In the Flu.
Yes. And even if it was, thered be space for maybe 2.
Right. Makes
Not
me think
4.
maybe they're, like, stacking up.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the we'll hear from some of our more British listeners that actually British chimneys are enormous. I don't think so, but we'll get verification from somebody.
All right. Let us know.
All right, Melissa, we are at that time in the episode where we go through our chapter superlatives.
Oh, yes, those.
What was your favorite line?
They run of electricity, do they? He said knowledgeably. Ah, yes. I can see the plugs. I collect plugs, he added to Uncle Vernon, and batteries. Got a very large collection of batteries. My wife thinks I'm mad, but there you are. Uncle Vernon clearly thought Mr. Weasley was mad, too.
Yeah, that's a good one. Good characterization on both of those characters. I like it quite a bit. So my line is kind of similar. The same two characters involved. And this is right after Mr. Weasley, which we didn't really talk about, kind of forces the Dursleys to say goodbye to Harry. And and it goes, "The idea of being taught consideration by a man who had just blasted away half of his living room wall seemed to be causing him intense suffering." So that's Vernon being a little perplexed by learning a lesson in consideration from Mr. Weasley. I think it's just kind of funny. Again, kind of for the same reason. They're very good characterization on both of them in the one interaction.
Yes, I agree.
So with that, who was your chapter MVP?
This was easy. It will be Arthur.
Yeah, I think so.
He came, he got Harry, tried to fix Dudley. He sent the boys back. He was the nicest person in the room. In fact, I might even say the only nice person in the room.
Yeah, everyone else had a very negative point at some point.
So I'm going to go with definitely Arthur.
Okay, I'm going to go the exact opposite. Probably the most evil in the chapter. As my honorable mention, Fred, the one who dropped whatever this toffee was that created this horrendous tongue slug thing. Just sounded so gross, right? I mean,
yeah.
Just imagine Petunia grabbing it, because she's like, "What is this?" Like, she tries pulling it out of his mouth, and he's like, it just made it worse.
I mean, I realize this has been a Star Wars-ish episode, but doesn't it feel very, what's his name? Why can't I think of him?
Jabba the Hutt?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It feels very Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. I wonder if that was part of the inspiration.
If not, it was a good, happy accident.
Subliminal creativity.
There you go. And that wraps us up for chapter number 4. You can find us online at thepodcastthat.com, where we have a variety of things, including our Support Us section, where you can do lots of different ways to help out our show, like buy a t-shirt, or check out our Amazon wish list, where you can get your very own Harry Potter items, and everything you buy gives us a little bit back and can help support our show with stuff you'd buy for yourself anyway. You can find us on Twitter at Not Named Podcast, and you can send us your emails at thepodcastthat@gmail.com.
Subscribe and rate us on iTunes. Leave comments there. It really, really does go a long way. If you haven't done it yet, it goes a long way to helping us find new viewers and let other people know what you think of the show and why they should check us out as well. Are we funny? Are we not funny? Let them know. They want to know. And we would really appreciate your help on that. It goes a long way.
Join us next week when we discuss chapter number 5.
Weasley, Wizard Wheezes. Stay imaginary.
Thanks.